What's the thing we always say at the start?
Sorry, it's been a year.
It has not.
I just thought that was what we always said at the start.
Welcome to SpellCast, the CSGamingWizards podcast. It has not been as long since the last one as it was between the others.
I don't know. I have no sense of time.
Well, I remember we talked about Borderlands 3 in the last one.
Did we?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Because it had been announced and there were trailers. So it wasn't ridiculously that long ago.
See, I don't remember.
I remember we talked about Borderlands 3 and we were making guesses about the plot. So like spoilers.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to talk about it without spoilers. I mean, obviously we know we go to different planets. Personally, I've only been to the second planet. Like, I finished it, and I'm at the point where, like, it's sending me to, like, the next place after, because you start on Pandora, and that's it's Promethea, the Atlas planet.
Yeah.
And then it sends you to the other place, and, like, that's where I'm at now, is where I need to go to the other place. Or no, I went there, like, I flew the ship there.
But you haven't gone down yet.
And then, like, I went down, and I was like, alright, this is where I'm going to call it for the night. And I haven't had as much time for the game as I wanted to, because I've been trying to balance playing that along with playing, like, a billion other things, because everyone wants to... It's...
Too much stuff came out too close together.
Yeah, no, it's a fucking problem. So, between stuff that's, like, newly coming out, and then, like, other stuff that, like, I've had previously, like... I tend to go back and forth between this thing of, like, man, like, I wish I had someone to, like, play blah, blah, blah game with, and, like, I just feel so lonely, and, like, the complete opposite of, like, 10 people want to do stuff, and I only have, like, 6 hours in the day. Like, that's been kind of my...
You're tearing me apart!
Yeah, like, it's one or the other, there's no in between. Like yesterday, I had a friend who wanted to play Raft, and then I had two other friends who wanted to play either Monster Hunter or Remnant, and then, like, I want to play Monster Hunter on console, and then I also want to play Borderlands 3, and then I also want to spend time with Mary, so, like...
There just aren't enough hours in a day!
There really aren't, and, like, fuck sleep is all I'm saying.
I like being able to sleep.
See,
I don't like being required to sleep.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, yeah. If I didn't have to sleep, I wouldn't. And then I could play more of Borderlands 3, and I would have more to talk about other than, like, oh my god, the little quality of life changes for, like, the series.
There's a lot of that. It's nice.
Like, you don't understand how excited I was that, like, you automatically pick up, like, money and ammo.
Yeah.
Like, you open a container and you just pick up whatever you need. Like, you don't have to... You don't have to try to pick stuff up.
Yeah. you still have to manually pick up, like, loot and stuff, but that's part of the fun, and it also keeps you from picking up stuff that you don't want. Even though early on in the game, you want literally everything, because money is, like, important now.
Yeah, no, the fact that...
It's, like, ridiculously important now.
The fact that the SDU upgrades are...
you just buy them with money and not with
money
Iridium.
Again is nice. I like that Iridium is just for cosmetics.
Yeah.
It's
nice. There's also, like, there's, like, that vending machine where you get, like, the special stuff.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't know what that... I haven't really looked at anything in that, but I saw that it was there, and I don't know.
It seems like it's just, like,
purple
tier gear.
I don't want to go in on just, like, buy as much OP stuff as I can get my hands on. Like, I haven't even used the gold key yet, just because, like...
I've used 2. So, alright. So you know how in, like, Borderlands 2, you would open the gold key chest and it would be 2 things. It was always just 2 things, right? Like, if it was shields, it was 2 shields.
Sounds about right.
I opened the chest in the new one. It was 6 shields and 2 grenade mods.
Oh.
Like, or it might have been 4 and 4. Either way, there was just a ton of shit, and I was like, oh my god, it's like all my birthdays came at once. One of those shields was legendary also. They weren't all purple tier. One of them was actually a legendary item, and that's fucking cool. The drop rate on legendaries is awesome. I have gotten... So I'm like level 15, and I have seen like 5 legendaries already.
Sounds about right. I've gotten like 3 or 4.
Like, I got 2 before I was level 5.
That's... I mean, besides the stuff that I got from like the website that you unlock, and it's like,
Yeah.
enter the codes and do all the random bullshit. But yeah, I got a whole bunch of legendary stuff just from like pre-ordering like the super deluxe whatever version.
I actually haven't redeemed any of those weapons.
I did just to clear them out of like the inbox thing that the game has, but like
I like the inbox system.
I do.
It's neat. I like the way they did.
Torg keeps sending me guns for blowing stuff up, and I love that.
Yeah, no, I was saying.
I'm guessing you get stuff from the other manufacturers for using their guns, but since I got my first Torg shotgun, I'm like, bam, click, you explode, everything dies, I win.
Yeah,
but they just nerfed the shotguns though, so I don't know how that's gonna work out for me, but I've been using more assault rifles now anyway, so
they I got a Jacobs one very early in the game because I had a really good Jacobs pistol that I was using for a while, and then ever since starting to find more Malawan stuff, I've been using more Malawan stuff because Siren going down the elemental tree, it just makes sense. Yeah. Like, I should be using Malawan weapons. I have a love-hate relationship with Malawan weapons in this one, though.
I haven't... I mean, like I said, I've been all in on Torg since, like, I got one.
So, they all have, like, a charge-up time.
Uh-huh.
So, like, they kind of... Like, a good comparison is, like, they have the feel of, like, plasma weapons in Halo. So, like, for example, like, the SMGs, like, they are rapid fire, but, like, their fire isn't, like, just, like, a constant spray of just, like, brrr, it's, like, tush, 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 tush. But, like, before it even starts shooting, there's, like, a short period where it's, like, and then it starts shooting.
Huh.
And,
weird.
like, all their guns are like that. So their sniper rifles, you have to hold them down to charge them. Their shotguns, you have to hold them down to charge them. And they fire when you let go for the shotguns and the sniper rifles. So, like, you build up a charge, and then you can kind of hold on to it and, like, release it when you want. And once you get used to it, it's not too bad. But, like, initially picking one up, you go to shoot, and it's just like, and it's like, I just want to shoot. But you actually have to, like, charge it before it'll shoot.
Full charge, and then it won't. Huh,
yeah.
That's weird. Yeah, I think a lot of the new mechanics will take some getting used to. Like, because, like, the Torg shotgun, it's like, you can have it set to where it just explodes when it hits something, or you can do, like, the sticky bullets that then explode. And
I was using a Torg assault rifle for a while.
Yeah, and I wasn't a fan of that at first, but then I started using it and realizing that it does more damage when you do it like that. And I was just melting everything in my path once I figured out, like, that really is the better way to go about that. I'm gonna only do that from now on. And then I got a legendary Torg assault rifle that automatically fires sticky bullets that automatically explode. Before you don't have to manually explode them or anything; they just automatically go.
So one of my most recent legendaries, I was doing that area where you're in that courtyard and, like, you're killing, like, the robots as they're coming, and, like, Zero's there helping, and
like when you first meet Zero and you go through, like, the warehouse and everything.
Yeah.
And he gets the sword upgrade.
Yeah. When you first meet him, and I killed one of the robots, and it dropped a legendary rocket launcher. And it's a legendary Torque rocket launcher.
Huh.
And what it does is, like, you shoot it, and, like, the rocket hits, and then it, like, goes up into the air like a firework and then explodes. So, like, even if someone's behind cover, you just kind of shoot it at it, and it's just like, and the explosion's coming from above, so fuck you. I don't remember the name of it. Great. It had a good name, though. But, yeah, I got that. I got a legendary sniper rifle pretty early on. I got that just before leaving Pandora, because there's the like the first Vault Hunter, how there's like the logs you can find of his, and if you find all of them, there's like a dead drop.
Yeah.
So the first dead drop that I found on that like first area in Pandora, it gave me a legendary sniper rifle.
Well, damn, I haven't gotten a legendary out of any of them, and I've gotten like 4 of them.
Yeah, I've only gotten 2, and I only got a legendary from that first one.
I don't think I found all the ones that were even on Pandora.
Yeah, I know I missed at least 2 in like one of the areas, but in the first like few minutes of playing at like level 4, I got a legendary shield that made it to where when I would slide into an enemy, it would like drain all my shields, but it would do just like a shit ton of damage.
Oh.
So, like, I spent, like, my first few levels just, like, running across the field, sliding into people, and just watching them explode.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just one-shotting people by sliding in. Like, it was fun. But then, like, I realized that, like, it was taking my shields when I would do that, and I was like, I should probably, like, switch this.
Use that a little more conservatively.
Yeah. But, yeah, I've been enjoying the game. Like, one thing I'm glad they brought back that was actually a thing in the first game was, like, in the first game, when you went through an area and you found the, like, echo logs and stuff, they were done. You found them, you didn't have to re-find them or re-listen to them. You could pull them up in the menu and listen to them at any time. And they brought that back.
Yeah, I noticed that wasn't a thing in 2, was it?
No, in 2, they made it to where, like, if you wanted to listen to an echo log again, you had to go find it again.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Like, they didn't put them in, like, the menu, so there wasn't, like, an easy way to, like...
Yeah,
revisit,
and that would always
dialogue.
suck if they got interrupted, too.
Yeah, sometimes, like,
'cause-
a quest would interrupt something.
Yeah.
Like, you would accidentally walk into a quest-relevant area, and it's like, oh, but I was listening to the thing. Now I gotta reload the game.
That still happens in 3, but you can go back and listen to the log, so
Yeah.
it's not as much of an annoyance, but... I've still gotten to the point where it's like, if somebody's talking, I just stop and listen, and then I go and do the thing. And then if I find a log, I'll stop, listen to it, and then continue on. It's not so nobody interrupts anybody, and it's... I don't know, I feel like they probably could have done that maybe a little better, just not have it interrupt, or like, if somebody had... Well, but then I guess it would throw off the pacing of the game if they did that. Just had, like, the... quest dialogue, wait until you were done listening to the log.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, when you find a log like that, like, generally it's a good idea to just kind of, like, stop while you listen to it. But, yeah, no, I
but
like
if
the fact that
if you find one that's, like, really close to the next, like, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I had that happen at one point, but it wasn't too bad because I was able to just kind of, like, re-pull it up and be like, oh, I'm so glad they brought this back. Like, it's the little stuff, man. Like, there's so many little things like that that's just like, this is nice. I like it. Like, being able to just fast travel at any time.
Yeah,
like, you just pull up your map and you can go fucking anywhere.
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that, honestly. Like, there are times where I like it, but also times where it makes it feel a little, I don't know.
Too streamlined?
Yeah, like...
So
like, you don't have to fight your way to the next, like, checkpoint. You can just fuck off back to the ship whenever you want.
So...
And they're also... They don't have, like, any vending machines, like, in the middle of any of the areas anymore. It's like there's the ones at the start, and then maybe some at the very end, and there's nothing in between. So if you load up your inventory, you have to, like, warp back to the start.
Yeah, I did notice there's not a lot of areas, like, in between. There are a few, but, like, yeah, I noticed
it's definitely not as...
You go a lot longer without seeing, like, vending machines.
Like, I keep having to, like, dump stuff from my inventory so I can pick up more valuable stuff that I can sell, so I can expand my inventory more.
Yeah. But I generally like the feature, and here's the main reason why. Like in Borderlands 2, if you went into, like, a area where there was a quest, you know, like, you'd park your car because, like, the car couldn't drive past it, and then you go through this, like, big long area and you fight all these enemies and you get to the end and you get to the objective, and then you have to walk back. and that was like, it was just padding. Like, you're just back and forthing constantly, and it completely eliminates that. It's like, okay, I got my quest objective, cool, I'm done with this area, I've looted everything, warp back to the car instead of slowly walking all the way back through everything. Like, it's just, it's nice that you're not constantly like backtracking and constantly retreading the same ground, and you're able to just kind of like keep moving, which I think makes the game feel smaller because like everything's going a lot faster.
Yeah, it did seem like that. And there's also definitely not as many side quests.
Yes.
And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, a lot of
the
times it was usually just like, go here, kill this enemy, or kill enemies, collect these things that they drop, but
yeah,
I mean, it was, there were more experience, more loot, even though you probably wouldn't use it because you'd probably over leveled for it anyway. But
yeah,
it just seemed like there was more to do in, like, especially in 2. Because like you would go like back to Sanctuary after, you know, doing a major
moments, and
then there's like 12 exclamation marks on the mini map. It's like, cool, there's a whole bunch of shit I can do, and there's like none of that in 3. There's like I don't think I've ever had more than like 3 quests active in 3 at a time.
I think the most I had was 5, and it was when I first got to Promethea.
And I like that you can quick toggle between objectives.
Yeah, that's nice.
But I mean, you don't need to because you never have more than like 3 or 4 at a time. So it's like,
I was saying the most I had was 5, and it was when I first got to Promethea, and like after you meet Reese and like talk to him and you get your objective, and you get into that like city area, and you know there's a side quest that you can pick up right away. And then you go and there's like a poster there, and it's a side quest from Moxie to kill a guy. And then you go into a separate area to kill that guy, and then there's like 4 quests in that area.
Yeah.
That was the only time when I had a bunch of quests so far. Again, like, I'm not much further than that point. So, but I actually kind of like that, because one of my issues with 2 that I realized like kind of made the game drag a little when I was replaying it with some different people recently is that, like, as much as I love that game and like I love all the dialogue and all the quests, and like I feel like every quest is worth doing just for like the flavor of it, like how it builds the world and like the characters and stuff. At the same time, though, there are so many of those where it's like, oh, all right, time to do this quest chain. This is gonna take a while. Like,
yeah,
there was so much where it's just like you're gonna detract from like everything you're trying to focus on to do all these extra side quests, when like really honestly like you're not going to get much out of them other than like a couple bits of like humorous dialogue.
Yeah.
So
fucking arms dealing.
The one that like was consistently like okay, got to do this again. When I was playing through it recently with like, cuz I was playing the game with different groups of people at the same time, so I was just doing everything twice, basically, back to back. And it was the quest where you have to make the Zaffords and the Hodunks fight each other.
Oh, yeah.
That whole quest line just takes so long, and it's not all that interesting, and it kind of drags.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple good moments in it, but for the most part, it's just like, all right, let's get on with it.
Get on with it.
But yeah, like, so that's one thing I've actually liked so far about 3 is that since there are less quests, it does feel like things like move a little quicker, and the quests you do have feel like they're actually giving you something more worthwhile. At the same time, though, I'm very early in the game still. I'm not sure how much more there will be as it opens up. And, like, I'm hoping there's reason to go back and revisit planets as you get further in the game. Like,
I'm guessing there will have to be, because there has been not much to do outside of the main story. And the main story feels, like, very... Like, I don't know if it's just because I played through Borderlands 2, like, 12 times, and I know the story like the back of my hand at this point, but...
Yeah.
It's... 3's story seems very weirdly paced. Like... In 2, you know, you're introduced to Handsome Jack like right at the beginning, like in the intro. He's the guy who called you to Pandora, and he tried to kill you immediately, and you want to help. He like owns Pandora. You want to overthrow him, and then the story kind of builds on that. It's like, oh, you have to. There's a vault. You want to stop him from opening the vault. The vault has a thing in it that will give him ultimate power and stuff like that. And it just like every chapter like kind of builds on that, and it's like what you're building up to. 3 doesn't really seem to do that. It just feels like it's like it's a bunch of chapters that just kind of don't really connect. Because I mean, it's like it's still about like get to the vault before the bad guys, but why? Like,
because vaults have bad things in them.
Well, yeah, and you do learn more about like why vaults have monsters in them and stuff like that, but it's not. It just doesn't seem like it's connected like story wise. Like you get that you do all this stuff to stop bad guys from getting powerful stuff from the vaults, but it's like I don't know. It just doesn't seem to connect very well. Like I mean, because like, I mean, in 2, it's like go here and do this very important clearly time sensitive thing. Also, here's 12 side quests that you can do whenever you want. Like the last time I played through it, I was like immediately after Sanctuary like lifts off and teleports away, and your next mission is go find it. I did a couple side quests there, and Lilith was still talking to me like nothing was going on. It's like, yeah, go do the thing. Cool, you did the thing. Get the thing. And I'm like, cool. You're just teleported off into oblivion, and you're still telling me to go kill these bandits to stop them from mining iridium. I guess I'll go do that first.
Yeah,
but
there's...
I mean, it was kind of weird how you could do that in 2, but like 3, I don't know. It's just...
See, what I'm hoping is that as you get further in the game, like, I'm decently invested in the story. Like, there's not a lot going on yet, and I'm kind of seeing where things go. But I'm hoping that as you get further, it gives you reason to go back to these planets, and that like the planets open up more, because like you're on Pandora for maybe a couple hours.
Yeah,
and there's like 2 zones.
That was a little like if I would have had like the first half of the game be on Pandora, honestly.
See, the whole idea of the game is that like you're leaving the planet to go to these other vaults. So I get wanting to make that part of the game short. It was shorter than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, like
but like I understand why it was that way.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I mean, I'm guessing you would have to go back to Pandora at some point, because I mean, like you said, revisiting all the planets that would have to include Pandora, I would hope, and that there's more stuff to do there.
Like I hope they open up more, or at least that there's like more side quests, like post game content. Like, okay, you finished the story, now there's like a dozen side quests on every world. Like, I like when games do that sort of thing. Yeah. So that I would be okay with too. So like even if everything is very like, oh, here's 2 or 3 side quests at a time, but like main focus is the main story, you're just kind of burning through every planet, and then okay, you beat the game, here's a billion side quests. I would be totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Like
that would be a way to go about it, and I would not complain if that happened.
I'm a fan of post-game content.
I have no frame of reference for how long the game actually is. Like, I could look it up, but I don't want to be
you don't want to
be like, oh, this is the part where this major character dies suddenly and unexpectedly. I'm like, oh, I didn't want to know that yet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know how far. I want to say I'm, like, maybe 60 to 70% through. Like, it kind of feels like I'm coming up on, like, a major development or something, but I have no idea if that's right or not, because the pacing just feels really
all over the place.
Yeah, and like some really important stuff happens to it, but it doesn't really feel like there was a lot of impact to it. Like I mean, Sanctuary lifting off the ground and teleporting away, like that's, like Scooter says, this is one of those moments, and Borderlands 3 hasn't had any of those moments.
I get you.
Like if like the first half of the game was on Pandora and Sanctuary lifting off and going into space, that could have been one of those moments, and it wasn't. It was just like, yeah, that's a thing you did. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Pandora,
I would have liked a little more fanfare on that part at least.
Pandora definitely felt like this is the prologue. This is your tutorial,
for sure.
And then like everything after that is the game in its like entirety. A lot of what I'm interested about, honestly, is just seeing how a lot of the like other characters fit into place. 'Cause like there's a lot of characters that there's still a lot of like big question marks up in the air for me on like, where is this person? What are they doing? Like, why is so and so here? Because like you look at Sanctuary, you look at who was on Pandora still, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got Ellie, Lilith, Moxie, Marcus, and Tannis. And that's it.
Yeah. Like, Zed's not even anywhere to be seen except on the vending machines.
That's about what I was about to say.
I'm kind of like,
where's Dr. Zed? He gives you your first quests in, like, both games. He gives some of your earliest quests.
Yeah, I haven't run into him yet at the point that I'm at, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to. But, I mean, maybe maybe late in the game you go back to Pandora again, and maybe Zed's hanging out in Firestone again.
Right.
I don't know.
And it might be one of those things too, where they might be saving some of those other characters for like DLC.
That could also be, but that would be kind of disappointing for them to.
Well, for Zed, it would be very disappointing because he was such a like integral part of like the first game and like had like a more of a role in the second game still as well. Like he's one of those NPCs. But so like for Zed that would be I'm kind of okay with it with some of the other Vault Hunters. Like Axton and Gage,
nowhere to be seen.
Like, don't know anything on them. They haven't been in any of the trailers or anything. And I remember seeing some talk online about how, like, they're probably going to be saved for, like, a DLC or something. But one thing they did say is that like, no one has died off screen. Like, they're not going to get rid of any characters, like, between the games. So that's nice, at least.
Yeah, I never heard that, but that's good to know that they were like, yeah, we're not going to be, like, dicks about it.
Yeah, they're not just going to, like, kill someone off screen and be like, oh, yeah, they're dead.
And considering, the disputes they've had with some of the voice actors, that's really, really impressive that they were able to not have to do that. But,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But, like, honestly, side note on this, but, like, related, I'm so glad I played Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, if I had not played that and I had gone into, like, even the DLC that they added for Borderlands 2, the Fight for Sanctuary, but, like, even if I didn't do that, like, if I just went into 3 and I didn't know Scooter was dead, I would have been like, what the fuck?
Spoilers, by the way, if anybody hasn't played Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah, spoilers. Scooter dies, like, midway through Tales from the Borderlands, and yeah, that game actually has a lot more plot relevance than, like, I thought it would. Like, I thought it would be kind of like a spin-off side story thing of, like, oh, you might see some familiar faces, but it's not actually, like, connected or important in any way.
It's totally canon.
Nope. Everything in that is very important and very connected to the main story, and it's impressive, honestly.
Yeah. It's too bad Telltale, like, shit the bed and isn't around anymore, because...
Yeah. There's not a lot of ways to get that game now. Yep.
Supposedly they're coming back, but it's gonna be like shitty and like not really the same. But I don't know. Like somebody bought them and it's gonna be like, I don't know.
Well, apparently Gearbox has been working to get like the full rights for Tales from the Borderlands so they can put it back out onto like Steam Store and stuff.
That would be cool.
And other than that, like it is out there.
And then they could make
media.
They could make their another Tales game if they wanted to, or just do more stuff with the characters. Because I liked Tales.
I did too. I
was surprised at how well, like a universe where it's like everything is about guns, like everything is like shoot first, ask questions later. But in Tales, it's like maybe ask some questions first. Don't shoot everybody right away. That can have consequences, and maybe you can solve a puzzle by talking your way out of something, and that's not like
I blew up the guy.
So did I. But to take a universe like Borderlands and make a game like that out of it is really impressive to me that they pulled it off as well as they did.
And it still like feels cohesive within like the world of Borderlands,
like, with the art style and the characters and everything. Just it still fits together really well, and it was kind of surprising that a Borderlands game wouldn't be about collecting guns with bigger numbers than the bad guys have numbers.
Speaking of stuff that comes from Tales from the Borderlands, and rebuilding Atlas. I hate Atlas guns. I tried a couple of them. I don't like the homing mechanic. It's weird.
I think I tried one just because I picked it up and was like, oh, what's this all about? And I'm like, that's maybe on a different character, but not for explosion heavy mows.
Like, I can't think of any character or playstyle where like I would use that kind of gun. Like, maybe if I was trying to do like a stealth build with Zane or something and was just focusing on like being behind cover, but like even then,
yeah, I don't know. It's like they had to come up with something for it because it's like, hey, we're bringing Atlas guns back. Cool. What do they do? What do you mean? What do they do? Well, well, all the guns do different stuff now. What does Atlas do?
Well, and that's
homing
one
bullets.
I mean, like it's a cool concept. It's just like the mechanic of it, of like you have to like switch its fire mode to fire the tracking thing onto them, and then you switch to like the homing mode.
It seems kind of awkward.
It's a little weird and like unwieldy.
There was a legendary gun in pre-sequel that basically did the same thing without, like it was just like the first shot you fired that hit something like marked it, and then for a short time anything else you shot would just track onto that. But that was like a legendary like laser. I think it was a laser. And
nice.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how like the older games had like these legendary guns with like the cool effects that are just now standard in 3. Because I think there's the bouncy grenades that they explode with every bounce instead of just bouncing towards something and exploding.
Yeah.
Like there was a legendary grenade in 2 that I had where that was what it did. Like it was a bouncy grenade, but it would explode every time it bounced. And now it's just like that. Yeah, that's just what bouncing grenades do now.
Yeah, there's a lot more variation in like just weapons themselves, and I like how they've like, because in 1, I don't think I ever paid attention to like what the manufacturer of a gun was.
Yeah.
In 2, they made it matter a little more. Certain weapons had, like, certain manufacturers had different things that they were better at. Like, Hyperion was your accuracy weapons because they get more accurate as you fire them.
Dial in the accuracy.
Tidor had the, throw and explode weapons. Yeah. Malawan had your better elemental weapons. Like, everything kind of had its niche. And they took that idea, and with 3, they just made it even more diversified so that, like, it really fits your play. Like, all of Vladov's weapons seem to be like 2 weapons in 1.
Yeah, basically.
Like, I've had multiple assault rifles that were also shotguns as like their secondary, but it still just uses assault rifle ammo.
Yeah. And Dahl is basically, it's like, because Dahl, it used to be like you would have full automatic, or no, it was It was like one firing mode, and then if you zoomed in, it would do burst fire.
Yeah.
And then in 3, you just manually switch. So it's like if you want burst fire, you switch to burst fire. If you want full auto, you could switch to full auto.
Yeah.
So I used a dull rifle like most of my early game until I started finding Torg stuff.
Yeah.
Just because it was...
I actually really like that because I've been getting like dull assault rifles and stuff that I've just been like, yeah, it's nice using them in full auto every now and then, but a lot of times I just put them into semi-automatic so I can do that one shot precision because that's always been my playstyle.
Like battle rifle.
Yeah.
Halo.
My go-to weapon in Halo, like my favorite weapon out of every Halo game of all time is the DMR. Halo Reach's edition of the DMR is like the best thing of all time. No weapon has ever felt so gratifying to me to use. Like I've never been a fan of fully auto weapons. The battle rifle fit a similar thing, but like it wasn't what I wanted it to be, because when they first announced Halo 2 and they showed off the, like, it was like the first level, they had like the demo footage of like them playing like this level in the city. They had the battle rifle, but at the time it wasn't a 3-round burst. It was a single shot precision weapon like that.
Pow, pow, pow.
Like if you go back and watch that like first like reveal footage, it was a single shot weapon, and then in the full game it turned into the 3-round burst. And I was disappointed. Like I still liked the weapon, but it wasn't what I wanted, and just getting the DMR and like getting to actually feel like the difference between the 3-round burst and the single shot like precision, I definitely prefer it. But yeah, so like I've been using those kind of weapons a lot in Borderlands 3. Like I had a dull pistol that I think I'm still using that switched between burst fire and single shot. And burst fire is nice. I used it a couple times when trying to deal with a certain enemy, but other than that, I've been using it in single shot mode because it's just one shot, powerful precision headshots constantly. It's nice. But yeah, I like even sitting here talking about it, like I just want to play more of the game.
Yeah.
Like the game has a lot of problems. It's not perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had any of the performance issues really that people have been complaining about, and I don't know if it's like I lowered some of the graphics settings a little bit just to make things smoother, but I mean that's my computer. That's not the game necessarily. Like
the big one I hear about is the thing with menus. When you pull up the menus, the game drops to like 2 frames. You don't really notice it. It does chug a little though when you pull up a menu.
Yeah, the menus do feel a little slow and clunky.
I just figured
that was like the design of them though.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like an optimization thing with the menus. Like the game actually chugs down to like 2 frames. Like, so it's something that, like, I guess a lot of the problems with like the frame drops like that are a lot more pronounced on the PC, but on console they do exist there. And I do kind of notice like when I pull up the menu that it would, you know, take a little bit to like kind of pull up, but like I'm used to that kind of thing in games. Like sometimes menus are just a little like wonky and it takes the game a second to load them up. But when I heard about that, I found out that apparently, if I were to be playing split screen, if I pulled up my menu, or the other player pulled up their menu, the whole game would drop to like 2 frames. So like, one person could be running and gunning, and then the other person pulls up their menu, and suddenly they're moving at slow motion.
Wow. Okay, like, that's
And in single player, you're not going to notice it as much.
Yeah. No kidding.
But knowing that that's a problem, like, I have no doubt they will go in and do some optimization patches and, like, fix some of these problems.
They've said they're working on it. They just released a patch today, but it's, like, little minor fixes for certain things that, you know, but, nothing major that they're still working on, but, you know. Yeah, I've had 2 instances of the game actually crashing, just like out of nowhere, and then so far 2 instances where my computer's graphics card overheated and crashed my whole computer.
I've only had one crash.
That's only happened to me in 2 other games. It was GTA 5 where that's happened to me, and heavily modded Fallout 4, which is completely understandable.
That makes sense.
That's going to cause issues there. But yeah, those are the only other 2 games where I've had that happen. So I need to work on some temperature management on my PC a little bit, I guess. But yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like you would think they would have caught that in testing, but I think part of it comes from the fact that they had so many different demo builds. Because of the way making demos works for games. And this is why you don't see as many demos and stuff like that anymore, is because they have to make a version of the game that is stable enough to run without being like the complete game. And it essentially makes it to where they have to have multiple builds of the same game at the same time. And they had like a demo build for E3. They had a demo build for PAX. They have like 4 demo builds this year, like since its announcement. So like in a lot of ways, I feel like them, like, they did great advertisement, great getting the word out and getting people hype about it.
Like outstanding.
Like the marketing was fantastic, but I think that ended up taking away from the final product because their focus was divided. Like they were working on these separate demo builds while also trying to like, so I don't think they were able to catch everything in like final testing. Like there might have been stuff that was working fine, and then like something changed near the end that caused it to like have issues, and they just didn't catch it because like, oh, this was working fine in the demo build, And I think that's kind of what happened, is they got caught up with all that extra production, basically.
That could be it. And that would explain why certain things clearly weren't play tested to the degree that they should have been. Like a fucking boss who can teleport outside the arena where you can't interact with him.
I saw your post about that.
Yeah, I was like,
oof.
I was, because it was showing him, like, on the mini-map, there's, like, the skull for the bosses, where there's B. I was standing right on top of it, so he was either above me or below me, and he was not in the arena. And I was like, okay, I thought at first maybe, well, he teleports around. Maybe he teleported further on into the level, and it's going to be like a recurring boss fight, and eventually at the end of the level, I'll actually kill him. Nope. The door to the next area would not open until I killed that boss.
Oof.
So I had to close down the game and bring it back up and try that fight again and hope he didn't do it again. He didn't the second time I tried to fight him. He just killed me a bunch because he has a lot of bullshit attacks, but... happens. That was easier to strategize than, he literally breaks the game.
Yeah. They've been a good job about being in touch with the community. Like, I see their posts a lot pop up being like, keep sending us your, like, error reports. We're gonna do our best to address these as quickly as possible. So, like, I'm glad they're putting in the effort to address this stuff, but, like...
Yeah, God help them if they didn't. I mean, they'd be eaten alive.
Give it another month. Like, that's... I think they should have given final testing, like, a little more time. Maybe they should have had less, like, demo builds. Like, I know they wanted to be at, like, all the big, like, trade shows and shit and have something new to show off at every single one of them. But, like, clearly, like, the timeline, like, it ended up crunched. And... It would have been nicer to get a game that was fully functioning on release than getting a game that's... It's a good game. I am loving it, and I have so many positive things to say about it, but at the same time, like, I'm acknowledging the fact that it's not perfect. It was released in a state that it probably should have spent another month on, like, the testing room floor.
Yeah.
And I'm acknowledging that as someone who is a huge fan who, like, knows that Gearbox and also to an extent 2K both have some messy history.
Yeah.
To put it lightly.
To put it nicely, yeah.
Yeah.
On the plus side, everybody who decided to wait for the Steam version will probably have a totally stable version of the game to play.
Yeah, no, that was actually something we were talking about I was talking about it with some other people, like, they're glad that it actually didn't release on Steam right away, because if it was, it would have gotten a ton of negative reviews, and it would have like tarnished the game's reputation for the rest of its life. Like, it would have always had that like large negative review score hanging on to it.
Not that saved Borderlands 1 and 2 from getting review bombed for 3 being Epic exclusive for the 6 months.
Which is
people are assholes,
stupid.
And it's like,
people,
we're gonna bring down the review scores of the other games that are on Steam because that's the only thing we can actually do right now. And
God,
like,
speaking of shit getting review bombed for dumbass fucking reasons, so, because this is something that like I hate about the society we live in. So, Board Game Geek, it's like the big website for like all board games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can make an account, you can like leave a review of a game and stuff, and people were review bombing the Bloodborne board game, which isn't even out yet. They were giving it ones because the publisher, Cool Mini or Not, like, they ended up having to increase the price on their shipping because they hit like 1 billion stretch goals, and like essentially it went from like a 1-box game to like, here's the game and here's 6 expansions.
Holy damn.
So like there's all this extra stuff in the game that they added. So like, yeah, shipping's gonna go up.
No shit.
But like a lot of people were giving them shit over that. So they were rating the game that isn't even out yet a 1 because of the shipping.
Yeah, I would give it a 1 just for not being called Bloodboard.
At least that's a more legitimate reason, right?
No, but yeah.
But yeah, like,
I don't even know anything about the game, so.
But yeah, like,
other than that,
apparently there's a whole like community of people though who like go out of their way to try to counteract that kind of review bombing. So like when all these 1s started showing up on it, a bunch of other people were going in and putting in 10s to like balance it out.
And that doesn't help.
it doesn't. But like the comments were basically like, this is just to balance out the like review bombing people complaining about shipping. So there's just, it's a game that isn't even out that has like an average review score of like 6 point something because there's just all these 1s and all these 10s on it and the game's not even out yet. Like, if you want to be mad about the shipping, fine. Be mad about the shipping. Complain about the company. Don't hurt the game.
Yeah. And that's...
Like, they're two separate entities.
People do that on Steam because, I mean, on the one hand, I kind of get it. Like, I watched a video about where somebody was talking about this, and they didn't condone it, but they were kind of like, I see why they're doing it, because, I mean, the Epic Store doesn't have reviews, it doesn't have forums, it doesn't have a lot of stuff that Steam does.
Yeah.
So the only way that people can tell the developers that they're mad about something is to post it somewhere where they'll actually see it. And if that means going on to an earlier game in a beloved franchise and leaving a negative score, that's what they apparently feel like they have to do. I think it's still kind of a shitty bullshit thing to do, but I mean, you can understand where they're kind of coming from.
The thing is, like, if you because you're just gonna come off as like entitled children.
Exactly.
When you do shit like
that's
like, if
thing.
you really want to like say something to the company about their things, contact them directly. All those companies have support like emails and support numbers. Like, go that extra effort of writing like a well-written professional email, or fucking call them. Like, yeah, there's a lot of like pessimism about shit like that, of like, oh, like they're not gonna listen, they're not gonna read it, they don't care. But if they get like 100,000 emails within like a day of people complaining, like, they're gonna pay attention.
They take notice of it at least.
They notice, and
they probably won't read your individual comment on whatever you're pissed off about, but they will see that a lot of people have something to say, and they'll probably get the gist of it from what little they do read and be like, a lot of people are pissed off that we did this thing. Maybe we should either not do this thing, or we should make some changes to the thing that we are doing and piss less people off.
But, like, like leaving like a negative review score on like a game that is already like 8 years old and very much past its like shelf life, so to speak, that's not going to affect them.
Yeah.
Like at this point they don't care. Like the game has already had its like 8 years of being highly rated and highly recommended, and they've already gotten their money for it.
Exactly.
From like selling shit tons of copies from it. So going in now and leaving a negative review score on that, like that's not gonna really send the message you want it to send. That's my opinion on it, at least. Like,
I mean, I think internet reviews in general are like bullshit anyway. Like,
oh yeah,
I have never like trusted, like even on like Amazon or something like that. Like if it has a tremendous number of like high ratings, I'll probably think, okay, I mean, there's no harm in me buying something that seems to be highly rated versus something that seems to be rated very low. But I mean, stuff like movie and game reviews, people suck at knowing what they like, apparently.
yeah.
Like people will rate things low for the pettiest bullshit.
Well,
Like
there's been people who have been like getting mad about Borderlands 3 of just being like the same thing as like Borderlands 2. It's
that's
like,
what we wanted.
yeah, like that's what people wanted. Like you
more,
wanted
but
more Borderlands.
more Borderlands, but better.
And it's like
add the slide, and you know you can grab ledges.
God,
and,
I love that.
and all the gun change mechanics and all that. That's cool stuff. But it's still Borderlands because we wanted more Borderlands.
It's like and like the thing is like, if like on the complete flip side is that if they did make all these like huge changes to like the way the game played and the way the game
people
felt,
would be pissed off about that.
People would be complaining like you can't make anyone happy.
Like it's either too much like the Borderlands we know, or it's not enough like it. There's no there's no perfect
balance.
There's no perfect amount that they could have done to please everybody. Somebody's gonna get pissed off that it's either not what they wanted or it's too much what they wanted. It's like,
yeah,
like fucking just people shouldn't
Jesus
write reviews like ever.
Oh, I know.
Like it's going to be based on what you expect out of the game, what you wanted out of the game.
Yeah.
And you know, all you can tell people is it either lived up to my expectations or it didn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this whole idea.
People have a hard time being objective, I feel, and like you got to learn to remove like your expectations from like what it was meant to be, kind of thing.
Right.
And like what it is, like, you know, like a good example of this is Mighty Number 9.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
I mean, a lot of people.
If you
like,
remove
that gets so much
all
bullshit because of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Like,
if you remove
chaos.
If you remove like the Kickstarter problems and like all expectations from it and just go into it and play it for what it is, it's not that bad.
Right. Yeah.
Like it is not deserving of.
It's
like,
not the definitive successor to Mega Man that they were billing it as.
Yeah.
But if you if you didn't know that's what it was supposed to be, you'd be like, yeah, this is a neat little game. I enjoyed playing this game. It was fun. It's a little bit like Mega Man. It has the stuff from Mega Man that I liked, and you know, it's an okay game.
The year it came out, it was number 1 on everyone's like worst games of 20 whatever list.
No.
Every single person put it as number 1.
That's bullshit.
And like that's not fair. Like, because no one judged it based on what it was. Like, was it a 10 out of 10 game? No. Like, it's a 6 or a 7 probably.
Yeah, based on what I played. I played
I enjoyed it.
2 levels and got distracted.
I played all the way through the main campaign.
A solid 7.
I played
maybe.
the DLC character. I actually thought that was a much better playthrough of the game. Playing as the DLC character was... It felt more conducive to the playstyle they were going for. Like, you know how like you shoot an enemy until it becomes weaker and then you dash through them to absorb them?
That sounds right. Yeah.
The other character was a melee-based character. Now, her like life would like... If I remember right, like she would drain if you weren't like killing stuff. So like it's a character that's designed around going fast. And they made it to where her dash does damage. So there were like a lot of the basic enemies you just dash straight through them, like you don't even have to worry about anything else. And that was a much more interesting playthrough because your dash doing damage was more conducive to the fact of, oh, you want to be dashing through enemies to absorb them. Well, you're going to be dashing through them because that's the best way to kill them right now. So, like, that was a much better playthrough than, like, the base game of playing as Beck. Beck was okay. Like, if I had to rate the two, I would say, like, Beck was, like a 5 or a 6, and, like, the other character is, like, a 6 or a 7. Ray, that was the name. Like, Ray is, like, a 6 or a 7 playthrough, maybe even an 8. Like, it just feels better. But, like, everyone judged that game based on the fact that, like all the broken Kickstarter promises and, like, what they expected it to be and what they wanted it to be, and no one really judged it based it on what it was. And, yeah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't number 1 worst game of the year.
Yeah, I totally see that.
But
I didn't play a tremendous amount of it, but I enjoyed what I did play of it, because, you know, it reminded me enough of the Mega Man games that I liked that I was like, yeah, this is not going to replace Mega Man, but, you know, it's I can definitely see it as, like, a, you know, like it's intended to remind you of that kind of gameplay, without necessarily, like, copying it directly.
Actually, that brings up an interesting thing about Mega Man 11. So, like, Capcom finally came in and they're like, look, we made a new Mega Man. It's Mega Man 11. And it came out and everyone was really hyped and really excited about it, and, like, everyone loved it when it came out. And now that hype has kind of died down and people are going back,
it's all right.
and, like, looking back at it, like, even some of, like, the people I know who are, like, the biggest Mega Man fans are, like, look back at the game and they're like, it's okay, like, it's not a bad game, it's good mechanically, but, like, it has the weakest music out of any Mega Man game, like, it's not very memorable, and it just feels soulless. Like, the whole game, like, looks good and it plays good, but it feels soulless. Like,
Really?
they were just doing it to, like, cash in on the desire for Mega Man, and not really, like, there was any real passion behind it.
I haven't really played it.
I haven't played it either, and I still want to play it. But I find it interesting that, like, a lot of people who were, like, the most excited for that game and, like, loved it to death are now looking back at it and being like, it wasn't that great. Like, it was good, but, like, it was a good game, but it, like, it didn't have, like, the spirit of Mega Man. Like, it didn't feel like they actually wanted to make it.
Huh.
And I find it interesting
yeah.
that that's been kind of coming up. And that's when I think reviews are the most interesting, are, like, post the hype.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Everyone goes in with hype, and they're like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. This is exactly what we wanted. And then, like, give it 2-3 months is always what I say.
It's all right. I mean, it was good. I liked it. It's not the best thing ever, but it's good.
I said the same thing about Kingdom Hearts 3 when it came out. Give it 2 or 3 months. And sure enough, like, everyone looks back at Kingdom Hearts 3 and they're like, I mean, it was a game.
Yeah.
Like, no one was really...
I don't...
no one's really, like...
I didn't really
that big...
follow, like, a lot of hype. I mean, I was excited for it to come out because, like, I wanted it and I wanted to finish the story as I understood it, but, I mean, I don't seem to recall there being, like, a tremendous amount of hype for it. Like, I mean...
See, and
like, I didn't necessarily follow for a lot of it, so I don't know. Maybe there was more than I think there was, but...
I mean, a lot of it definitely comes from my perspective of having worked in a retro game store for years,
sure. Yeah, I bet.
and being very ingrained in the community for that store. Mm-hmm. Like, so even now that I'm not working, like, I notice the trends. I see, like, what people talk about and, like, where they get excited about stuff a lot. And, like, even away from the store, like, I still see that stuff all the time. So... yeah, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 was, like, this huge thing. It's like, oh my god, they're finally releasing Kingdom Hearts 3. This is going to be the best thing ever. And then it came out, and people were playing, and they're like, it's so good! And then, like, they come back a few months later, and they're like, it was okay.
See, I got to the, like, yeah, it's okay state, like, a few hours in.
Yeah.
Like,
I know a few
liked
people
it.
who definitely like were not.
I did not hate it. It just wasn't as good as it should have been for all the hype.
Yeah. Yeah. No. One person I know who is a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. They went into that game, and they played it for a couple hours, and then they never finished it because they couldn't. They're like, I can't play this. They're like, it's whatever.
That's
like
fair.
they were completely disenchanted, but like they weren't overtaken by all that hype, and I appreciate that. But it is kind of sad that like that was a series they loved, and it just it has thus far ended on a note of like,
meh.
I'm gonna go do something else.
I guess
I'm gonna go play Hollow Knight.
there was like an update or something for it like relatively recently that I guess fixed a lot of things that people were complaining about, like about it being too easy and all that. But by now everybody's already finished it.
Yeah.
And like I have 100%ed that game, so if I have, like everybody who's super into it already also has.
Yeah.
So I mean, at this point, releasing an update for it to fix the complaints that people had, it's like, I mean,
too late, man.
You're putting a Band-Aid on something that's already scarred over.
Yeah. I don't know. It's why I try not to get like really hyped up about anything. Like I got hyped up about Borderlands though.
Oh yeah.
Like that I'm still riding the high of that hype. But as I'm playing the game, I'm not letting that hype blind me to like the faults I am seeing, and like I'm not letting it blind me to like the criticism the game is getting, and like I'm taking the time to look at that and be like, okay, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, it's got some issues, for sure.
It's not perfect, but I wasn't expecting it to be perfect.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be fun, and I'm having fun.
Yeah, that's
So,
a good way
like,
to put it. It's like people who complain about it being more Borderlands. It's like, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. That reminded me of when the fucking Godzilla movie came out, Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Oh, people were complaining about it having too many monster fights and all that shit?
Yeah, it's like all of the like...
The fucking first one had like one monster fight and people didn't like that there were too many humans in it. And then it's like, okay, well, here's more monster fights. Too many monster fights! Bring back the humans. It's like,
yeah.
What do you fucking people want?
critics like gave that movie like all these like negative reviews and stuff and negative marks because it didn't have a very strong story. There was too much focus on monster fights. It's like,
it's fucking Godzilla.
That's why I'm here.
It's all monster fights.
I'm here because it's fucking Godzilla. Like, I want to see the monster. I don't give a fuck about what the humans are doing. Whatever. They can go, like, fuck themselves. I don't care.
It's like fucking...
Big monster!
It's like fucking Transformers. It's like, we want to see giant robot fights. We don't give a shit about these humans or why they're even there.
Yeah.
Or fucking, like, Alien vs. Predator. There's not much Alien vs. Predator-ing going on. We don't care about the silly humans.
Yeah. God, that will forever be, like, the most relatable line in, like, any, like, Flash cartoon ever. Oh, God. No, there's...
If you're going to have, like, iconic monsters fight each other, you can have humans in there for, like, perspective. You don't have them in there because we care about why they're there.
Like...
They're there to get stepped on by the monsters.
Pretty much.
Just collateral damage in their giant-ass war.
Now... It definitely would be a weaker movie if there was no story entirely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's not a weaker movie because the story was weak and it focused too much on, like, the monster fights. Like, that's why it was a good movie. Like, I loved that movie. That movie was everything I wanted it to be.
I haven't
and then
seen any of the new Godzillas.
So I finally got around to watching like the first of that like new series. Like I've had it on DVD since it came out. I just never watched it. But I finally got around to watching it like a week before the new one came out. And it was a really good movie.
The trailers made it look cool as hell, but it's just...
So like one of the most iconic things about Godzilla is his energy breath or whatever. Yeah. And he doesn't do it until like the end of the movie. But when he finally does it, like, because you've been waiting for it so long, like, it's such a cool scene that, like, the hype is real. You're like, yes. But yeah, no, it was a good movie. Like, it's not my favorite movie of all time. It's not my favorite giant monster movie. It's not even my favorite Godzilla movie. But it's still good. The new one, went and saw that in theaters. It was fantastic. It was everything I wanted it to be. There was more big monster fights. Fucking King Ghidorah looked awesome. There was a bunch of teasers and nods to other, like, iconic monsters from the Godzilla franchise.
Of course.
Because, like...
Are they trying to set up a Godzilla cinematic universe?
Oh, 100%.
Of course. So there's going to be, like...
so technically...
What's the turtle? Gamera? Is that Godzilla universe?
He's not. He's like a ripoff of Godzilla, basically. Okay. But
I don't know.
It would be cool to see Gamera.
I'm not super immersed in like the Godzilla lore.
But like the classic one is Godzilla versus King Kong, and we are gonna get that movie. Like, that they've already like stated that. I
totally forgot they were setting that up. Yeah, that's right.
Because Godzilla Godzilla King of the Monsters is actually the third movie in that franchise.
Right.
The second movie is Kong Skull Island, which I still haven't actually seen. I do need to go back and watch that. But like, they're connected, but like they're loose enough that it's like, yeah, these are connected like the old Godzilla movies were, where it's more of this, but like it's not. I don't know if I would quite equate it to like the whole cinematic universe thing. Jesus.
But they're
sick, by the way.
They're setting everything up for like more crossovers.
Yeah, they're setting it up for more Godzilla movies in the future and like showing off more of the monsters and stuff. Like one thing I was really happy about is like there's so many things they got right. Like, it's one of those things where not enough people know, like, the deep Godzilla lore, for, like, lack of a better way of putting it. Like, most people are just like, oh, yeah, they're the movies with the big monsters, and, like, that's all they really know about them.
I mean, the only Godzilla movie I've actually seen was the shitty 2001. I think it was 2000.
Oh,
the
one with, what's his face?
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only Godzilla movie I've seen. And I don't think anybody actually counts that as, like, being a Godzilla movie in anything other than name.
I mean, like, there was, like, the Japanese Godzilla movie that was made, I think it was a little after or a little before the most recent one here, but it's called Shin Godzilla. And in that, they actually have that Godzilla from that shitty movie
really?
Show up and fight the real Godzilla, because like, oh no, that wasn't Godzilla, that was just some other thing called Zilla that was like a fake Godzilla that
tell me he gets
stupid
his ass
Americans
kicked.
like mistake for God. Oh yeah, it just fucking gets one shot.
Nice.
It's fucking I've seen the clip of it and it's really funny because they just like 100% like threw that movie under the bus.
Oh, there was that fucking Godzilla cartoon as well. Like, I remember watching a couple episodes of that as a kid. But as far as movies go, the Matthew Broderick one is the only actual Godzilla movie I've seen, which doesn't even count.
Yeah.
I have not seen a single, like, any of the originals, like the Japanese or...
My two favorite Godzilla movies from, like, all the old ones are Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, because... Space Godzilla is just like the stupidest thing ever. It's literally just Godzilla with giant crystals growing out of his shoulders. Like, it's so dumb. He flies around. It's really cheesy. But my favorite Godzilla movie of all time is still Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. Just because it has so many monsters in it. It's called Destroy All Monsters. Like,
well, they better damn well have all the monsters there.
Yeah. But like... There's a lot of things that the new movie does to make nods towards, like, other Godzilla lore and, like, stuff that has come out about Godzilla. Like, a lot of the monsters come from like, the Monster Island. A lot of them come from our planet. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of other monsters that are actually aliens. They were sent here by like different groups, or they came here to like try to take over essentially, and like Godzilla is like
Godzilla's like, get the fuck off my
Godzilla's
planet.
are like, this is his planet. Like, he's the defender of Earth. Like, this is his planet. Get the fuck out of here. And they made reference to that. They made reference to the fact that King Ghidorah, the big three-headed dragon, like one of the most iconic monsters, is an alien.
I think I know most of the, like, I would
Yeah.
recognize them if I saw them, but
yeah, like
from references and things.
But the movie mainly features Godzilla, of course, Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra. Like, those are the big ones in the movie. And there's some pretty good like moments like in the thing. Like there's a part where Godzilla's fighting Ghidorah, and Rodan shows up and starts like helping Ghidorah fight Godzilla. And Mothra shows up and starts fucking up Rodan. And like, for whatever reason, the first thing that went into my head was like, get the fuck off my husbando. He's better than your husbando. Like, I don't know why that's where my mind went. But essentially, to me, Rodan and Mothra fighting on behalf of Ghidorah and Godzilla was them basically just having a giant, like, husbando off.
Okay, sure.
So, like, those are the kind of things that went through my head, and it was a blast. I had a good time. But, like, at the end of the movie, when Godzilla defeats Ghidorah, he obliterates him. Like, he's pretty much just, like, melts the entirety of Ghidorah into, like, nothingness. And when I saw that final scene where there's, like, this giant nuclear explosion, I had this thought of, like, I wonder how they're going to do, or, like, if they'll try to, like, retcon or address if they want to do, like, Mecha Ghidorah later. Fast forward to the end credit scene.
Of course.
Where they already, like, anticipated my questioning, because I was like, there's, like, nothing of him left. Like, if they decide to do a Mecha Ghidorah later, like, how are they gonna, like, bring back part of him to be used? Because Mecha Ghidorah is still partially,
He's
Ghidorah.
like a cyborg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, he has, like, the one real head in the middle, and then, like, the two side heads are, like, metal now. That's usually how he's done. But, no, they 100% address that in, like, the end credit scene. There's this, like, group of, like, people who are trying to do stuff with the monsters. They're, like, the main antagonists or whatever. But you see one of them that kind of, like, got away, and he's, like, in this warehouse, and they have one of Ghidorah's heads. So it's like,
we're gonna do something with that.
They already fucking anticipated my issues.
It's like, so, giant alien monster head, we're gonna put that on a robot.
Yeah, seems like a good plan to me. But yeah, I really liked what they did with that movie. It was really cool. It was really exciting, and like, it's one of those ones that when it comes out, I actually want to watch through certain scenes of it, like frame by frame, because there's a part where basically there's this like family. There's this woman. She's like a scientist, and she develops this machine that like mimics like a call for like the monsters to like try to calm them down and try to control them. And like she gets kidnapped at the beginning, and that's how like the plot starts off. So like the corporation that was trying to like figure out like how to like control these monsters and keep an eye on them, Monarch, they bring back her husband, who like knew of the work, but they had like split and drama. And he's going through this database of like all these different monsters that they have like basically sealed up, and like they have all these calls for, and he has the computer screen, and he's just scrolling through them, and it shows all these monsters, but it goes by really quick. And I want to go through that frame by frame so I can see
somebody's probably already done that and analyzed the fuck out of that.
Oh, probably. But I'm really curious to what other monsters that they they're teasing with like scenes like that, and then like during like the initial credits, you know how they always have like the fancy credits and then they have the regular scrolling credits. During the fancy credits, you know, they have like all these like newspaper like flashes and stuff of like different like monsters awakening and like moving to like Monster Island or whatever. And I want to go through that as well and try to catch more of those. So I look forward to that coming out and getting a copy eventually. It's on the to-do list. But
Neat.
yeah, I am dying. I hate being sick. I would just like to throw that out because I want to talk, and the more I talk, the more my throat dries out, and I'm just start dying all over the place.
Have you tried not being sick?
You know, I tried it once.
Didn't work out?
I mean, it wouldn't let me.
Nah, that sucks.
Life is not a fan of me not being sick.
Well, think about how often you are sick versus how often you're not sick.
You know, that's a good point.
Because, I mean, if you're not sick the majority of the time, then the time that you are sick seems a lot worse. So, you know.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
But I think we have sufficiently talked about Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
And various other topics.
Godzilla, surprisingly. That was...
Yeah. That was unexpected. But, like, I'm okay with it. I could talk for hours on Godzilla, honestly. I love giant monster movies. That's why I love Pacific Rim. Giant robots and giant monsters, fucking 10 out of 10. But that's a whole other topic.
Was the second one any good?
I never saw it.
Me neither.
I heard it wasn't as good. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I kind of read about it that they did with the plot that I'm... It's one of those things where it's like, I kind of want to see it out of principle, but at the same time,
it seems like it just kind of came out without a lot of fanfare. Like,
yeah.
Like, you could just kind of forget that it was even out, or like...
Pretty much.
Just be like, oh, I should go see that, and then just not go see it.
Yeah, based on what I heard about kind of like what they did with the plot and stuff, I'm disenchanted from wanting to see it, basically. Like, it's...
That's fair.
There's a lot of stuff that, like, they kind of, like, ruined from the first one, basically. But...
Well, I was hesitant to start a new line of conversation, because we were kind of wrapping things up, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep that short and leave it at that.
We'll talk about other stuff some other time, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could start doing these regularly again.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
Semi-regularly. More often than once or twice a year.
Yeah. But for now...
Whenever we have something interesting or new to talk about.
Oh, dude, I got plenty to talk about. I didn't even touch Remnant or Monster Hunter or Code Vein comes out in a week.
Maybe by the next time we will both have finished Borderlands 3 and we'll be able to talk about spoilers. With a spoiler warning, of course.
Of course. Alright. So, until next time, have a good day.
Thanks for listening, or I don't know. I don't remember if I say anything at the end of each one of these or not.
I feel like we need some sort of outro.
Yeah. It's over!
It's over!